Hello and welcome back to day 42 of the Geography GCSE countdown. Today we are looking at factors that increase flood risk in rivers. So let's get going. What is flooding? On November the 19th, 2009, a remote water weather station in Seathwaite in the Lake District recorded an astonishing 341.4 millimetres of rain. Let me get that right. 314.4 millimetres of rain in just 24 hours. This was the wettest day ever recorded in the UK. It unleashed a devastating flood that tore through valleys, washing away bridges and inundating the small town of Cockermouth. Flooding is where a land that is not usually underwater becomes inundated. A river flood occurs when a water channel can no longer hold the amount of water flowing in it. Water overtops the banks and floods the adjacent floodplain. But what causes flooding? River floods usually occur after a long period of rainfall, often during the winter. The volume of water steadily increases, causing the river levels to rise. Eventually, the river may overtop its banks, causing a flood. Sudden floods can occur due to torrential storms. These are called flash floods. They are more commonly associated with heavy rainstorms that occur in the summer. We can identify both physical and human factors that increase flood risk. Firstly, physical factors. Precipitation. Torrential rainstorms can lead to sudden flash floods as a river channel cannot contain the sheer volume of water going through them. Steady rainfall over several days can lead to flooding in lowland river basins. Secondly, geology or rock type. Impermeable rocks. These are rocks that do not allow water to pass through them, such as shales and clays, encourage water to flow overland and into river channels. This speeds up water flow and makes flooding more likely. And then thirdly, relief. In a mountain environment, steep slopes encourage rapid transfer of water towards river channels. This increases the risk of flooding. And then human factors or land use factors. Firstly, urbanisation. This is where building on a floodplain creates impermeable surfaces such as tarmac roads, concrete driveways and slate roofs. Water is transferred quickly to drains and sewers and then into urban river channels. This rapid movement of water makes flooding much more likely. Secondly, deforestation. Much of the water that falls on trees is evaporated or stored temporarily on leaves and branches. Trees also use up much water as they grow. When trees are removed, much more water is suddenly available and transferred rapidly to river channels, increasing the flood risk. And then thirdly, agriculture. In arable farming, soil left unused and exposed to the elements is left there for periods of time. This can lead to more surface runoff. This increases if the land is ploughed up and down steep slopes, as water can flow quickly along the furrows. But what is a hydrograph? This is the volume of water along a river, and this is known as its discharge. It is measured in cubic metres per second. A hydrograph is a storm graph that plots the river discharge after a storm. It shows how discharge rises after a storm, reaches its peak and then returns to its normal base of flow. One of the most important aspects of a hydrograph is its lag time. This is the time in hours between the highest rainfall and the highest peak discharge. This shows how quickly water is transferred into a river channel and is the key factor in flood risk. The shorter the lag time, the greater the risk of flooding. But what affects the shape of a hydrograph? The shape of a hydrograph is affected by rainfall and drainage basin characteristics. So a flashy hydrograph with a short lag time and a high peak. So it looks a bit like this. Rainfall, high peak, close together, short lag time. These are often found in small basins, so there's rapid water transfer. There is a high drainage density, which speeds up water transfer. The rock type is impermeable, which encourages rapid overland flow to the rivers. The land use, urbanisation's occurred, encouraging rapid water transfer. The soil moisture, it's already heavily saturated, and so there's a lot of overland flow straight into the rivers. And rainfall intensity. Heavy rain may exceed the infiltration capacity of vegetation and lead to overland flow. But on a low or a flatter hydrograph, so rainfall, peak rainfall, smaller curve, longer lag time, There are often larger basins which result in a relatively slow water transfer. There is low density of the drainage basin. There are permeable rocks which allow slower transfer by groundwater flow rather than overland flow. Forests slow down water transfer because of interception. There are gentle slopes which also slow down water transfer. Dry soil, and the soil moisture, there's dry, so it slows down transfer and takes it in itself. And light rain will also transfer slowly and will most likely seep into the soil. So we're going to think about the question, river flooding is a natural event. Justify your answer. So we've talked about the physical factors, we've talked about the human factors. Do you think it's a human effect? Do you think it's just a physical, natural event? I want you to leave me a comment below. What do you think? Just answering that question. So yeah, please do subscribe and I will see you tomorrow for day 43. Let's go.